Hi, I'm Anthony Roth Costanzo, and I'm an opera singer and a producer and a performer. When I was in grad school, I was about 25 years old. I was going through some, vocal troubles with a cold, and I went to the doctor, and my voice teacher, who is not a doctor by any means, had sort of said, "Oh, you should ask the doctor if there's something in your thyroid that's maybe affecting your singing." And I thought that was a strange thing, but I did manage to ask. She felt around it, didn't feel anything, but said, if you want to be extra cautious, you could get some tests. And I wound up finding out that I had thyroid cancer. And thyroid cancer is tricky for a singer, especially because the thyroid sits right on top of all your vocal nerves. And so by having to peel it off those nerves and cut it out, basically, you can damage them. And some people aren't able to speak, let alone sing in the same way again. I knew we had to get it out quickly just to be safe, but I was about to make a recording of something that was important to me at the time, even though I was in grad school, and that was a couple of days away. And so I made that recording. I took the time to actually do that. And that was a cathartic experience, I think, and was important. And then I also wrote down all the questions I could think of. And so when I eventually went to the doctor and started to talk about getting ready to have the surgery, to have my thyroid out, I had lots and lots of questions. And at some point he said, listen, it's cancer. So if we leave it in, you definitely will be able to keep singing the way that you've been singing, but you might not survive forever, and if we take it out, it will make you cancer free, and we have to take the risk about what will happen. So that was a clarifying moment in which I knew I had to really think about what my priorities were and how I conceived of myself in light of this. And more generally, was I defined only by my singing, or was I defined by who I was in some larger sense? And that actually turned out to be a very affirming thing. When we got to the surgery and everything that it involves, I really tried to have as much of a sense of humor as I could, because it occurred to me that being dire about it, or making it into a really heavy thing, as much as it was by nature, wouldn't help heal or help my approach to it at all. And then I had the surgery and they took the thyroid out. We actually had to have two different surgeries. And eventually, the cancer was out. There was a little radiation treatment that's very specific to thyroid cancer. And so within about 2 months, I was able to sing again. And that's really when I went on to start having success as a singer. So maybe taking all of that out, or the new perspective or something, sort of unlocked a piece that was missing. It's important to see these larger pictures and not get so stuck in your everyday routines and your everyday experiences that you don't have this kind of malleability and this shiftability as a person to become something new. The other thing I'll say is that I was disciplined about whatever it was I thought I needed to be disciplined about, not singing for those 2 weeks, drinking a lot of water to help my body heal, getting the kind of rest I needed to, thinking of the questions I wanted to ask the doctor, making sure I covered all of my bases. So I took it on as a kind of professional experiment, a job in a way. And so finding the balance between the lightness that allowed me to have humor and the rigor that allowed me to make sure I was really covering all my bases. First of all, to keep the optimism there, because that really helped me through it. I knew that all kinds of bad outcomes were possible, but knowing that I could make do with any one of those outcomes was important. I think surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be close to in that moment is also really important. I didn't tell everybody in my life, and that actually turned out to be a good thing. I later told everybody and talked about it a lot. But as I was going through it, I only told the people I knew would be there in the right way for me, because otherwise it can become a kind of imposition as you're going through the sickness to make everyone else feel okay about how you're feeling and all of that. So often we're stressed and we're running around and we're doing a lot of things in our life. And we just take for granted that we're healthy. And one thing I try and do is remind myself daily that it's really extraordinary to be healthy and to have the ability to do the things that we can do, whatever those things may be.